Hello there. I'm gonna be kind of quiet because BB2 just fell asleep. It is your mom of three in NYC, and I am back with another video. Yay! If this happens to be your first time on my channel, come through. Welcome. My name is Taneza. I'm the mother of 3 spontaneous kids living in the heart of New York City. I would love to have you as part of my YouTube family, my tribe. You only have to do one thing. SUBSCRIBE, SUBSCRIBE. It's so funny how no matter how many times I say that, I get so much joy out of it. Anywho, if you are already subscribed, thank you for your support. Make sure that your notifications are on so that you get a notification every time I post a video. I do have a special group within my tribe, my Bible scholars, and I love them. We are on a mission together to read through the Bible this year. We would love to have you join us. All you have to do is tune into the videos. That's literally all you have to do. There's nothing else. You don't need a Bible. You don't need anything but yourself. If you choose to read along, any translation you have is perfect. Let's get started. This video is a review of 1 Chronicles chapters 9 and 10. 1 Chronicles chapters 9 and 10. This is the last of the genealogies for right now. Chapter 9, the people in Jerusalem. We talk about the people of Judah who are taken captive in Babylon. We talk about Uthal, the Shilonites, Zerahites, Benjamites, the priests. But I wanted to bring your attention in particular to verse 22. It says in verse 22 that the gatekeepers were assigned. And I looked up what the word gatekeeper means exactly. And a gatekeeper is someone that was stationed at the gates of God's house. It was their task to open the temple gates in the morning, close them again at night. They received the tithes and the gifts the Israelites brought. I wanted to read actually 10 verses for you, verses 23 until 33. Verse 23. They and their descendants were in charge of guarding the gates of the house of the Lord, the house called the tent. The gatekeepers were on the 4 sides, east, west, north, and south. Their brothers in their villages had to come from time to time and share their duties for 7-day periods. But the 4 principal gatekeepers, who were Levites, were entrusted with the responsibility for the rooms and treasuries in the house of God. They would spend the night stationed around the house of God because they had to guard it. They had charge of the key for opening it each morning. Some of them were in charge of the articles used in the temple service. They counted them when they were brought in and when they were taken out. Others were assigned to take care of the furnishings, all the other articles of the sanctuary, as well as the flour and wine, and the oil, incense, and spices. But some of the priests took care of mixing the spices. A Levite named Mattathiah, the firstborn son of Shallum the Korahite, was entrusted with the responsibility for baking the offering bread. Some of their Kohathite brothers were in charge of preparing for every Sabbath the bread set out on the table. And the reason that I wanted to read those 10 verses, Bible scholars, was that this really showed how each of the gatekeepers had a specific role. Each of them in their service for the Lord had a specific role. And really, it's really an encouragement that a member of a church, it's just so important, our service. Everyone's duties are important. And it just shows how important service really is. Chapter 10. So the end of chapter 9 gives the genealogy of Saul. And then that leads us into chapter 10. Saul takes his life, you guys. The Philistines were fighting the Israelites. They pressed hard after Saul and his sons, and they actually killed 3 of his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchi-Shua. I wanted to read verses 3 and 4 of chapter 10. Verse 3. The fighting grew fierce around Saul. And when the archers overtook him, they wounded him. Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword, run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and abuse me." But his armor-bearer was terrified and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. The armor-bearer saw Saul was dead. He too fell on the sword and died. When the Israelites saw that Saul had died and the army had fled, they in turn fled. The Philistines then occupied the left land. I wanted to read verses 8 and 9 of chapter 10. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped him, took his head and his armor, sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news among their idols and their people. The valiant men of Jabesh Gilead took the bodies of Saul and his sons, and they took them to Jabesh and they buried them there. We actually find out chapter 10 is actually one of the shorter chapters of this book so far. We've been used to chapters 44 verses, 39 verses. I remember one of the chapters had 80 verses, chapter 6. But this ended with verse 13, which explains to us that verse 13, Saul died because he was unfaithful to the Lord. He did not keep the word of the Lord and even consulted a medium for guidance. Whew. I was really convicted, not in a bad way, but God deserves and we should be faithful to him. And so one way we can be faithful to God is trusting him and being obedient to him. Bible scholars, that concludes our review of 1 Chronicles chapters 9 and 10. As always, leave any questions, comments, or revelations down below. Our next review will cover 1 Chronicles chapters 11 and 12. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video. Bye for now, Bible scholars.